Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited to film today's video because it's kind of a newer video to my channel. I don't do a lot of wear tests on my channel, a lot of foundation videos because honestly, I don't try a lot of new foundations, but the new Urban Decay Stay Naked foundation definitely caught my attention and it was something that I was really curious to test out. So I thought in today's video, I would try it out for the first time with you, do a 12-hour wear test, and we can see if it's worth the hype. Urban Decay did send this to me in the mail as PR, but I will be completely honest, this video is not sponsored. I was not required to film it. There are no talking points. I just want this video to be helpful if you guys are considering spending your money on it, and I'll let you guys know if I would spend my money on it. So they describe it as a buildable to medium coverage foundation with a real skin matte finish. It's supposed to last up to 24 hours, and they also say it is waterproof, long wearing, and breathable, and it is a vegan formula. It retails for $39 and you get 1 fluid ounce. So there are 50 different shades, which is great. I actually used a chart to choose my shade. It was a chart that they sent me. I'll see if I can find it online for you guys and post a picture of it on the screen so you can either screenshot it or I'll link it in the description box below. But that made a big difference for me because there are so many shades. And it's not just that there are so many shades, they actually break it down by what they call shade intensity, master tone, and undertone. I think because they did break it down like that, you're going to be able to find a shade that works well for you, but it's just a little bit confusing getting there. So if that chart is available, it's definitely helpful. Otherwise, I would recommend going into a Sephora store or an Ulta and just watching the foundation maybe next to your go-to shade and seeing if you can find one that way, because I think if you just order online or off the website, it might be a little bit confusing, and it is a $39 foundation, so you don't necessarily just want to hope for the best, which is what I do sometimes, and it's always frustrating when you get a shade that doesn't work for you. So the chart is helpful, but if it's not available, definitely go in stores if you can. I'm also testing out the concealer in today's video. This retails for $29, and you get 0.35 fluid ounces. This comes in 25 different shades, and again, it is kind of broken down by shade intensity, master tone, and undertone, but I do feel like concealer is a little bit more forgiving. They describe this as an extra pigmented liquid concealer that corrects hyperpigmentation and imperfections and gives you a real skin matte finish. I will say that I already obviously applied the makeup and I did not sit as close to the camera as I should have. I'm going to try to crop the video and rectify that situation, but I will definitely sit closer for the future. I don't normally film a lot of videos like this, so I will work on that in the future, but I'll see you guys in just a second. So to prep my skin, I did use the Smashbox Photo Finish Primerizer. This is my favorite primer. I haven't really used it a lot during the summer because I've been reaching for a more mattifying option, but I think it is the best option to prep my skin for a new foundation because it does provide a nice moisturized base. So foundation always goes on really well, no matter what the claims are, but it doesn't necessarily extend the wear of my foundation or make it more matte, so it won't really mess with the claims of the Urban Decay foundation. Okay, so when I shake it, it does sound pretty liquidy. I don't typically prefer a super liquidy foundation, although the Fenty foundation is pretty liquidy, and that is one of my favorites. So I'm just going to pump a little on the back of my hand. It's not necessarily like running down my hand, but it's probably somewhere in between the Urban Decay Naked Foundation and the Urban Decay All Nighter. I'm going to be using a brush. This one is from Crown. It's just like a basic foundation brush. So I actually like to work in sections. So I just apply a little bit to the center of my face and then blend it out. That way I can see if the foundation dries down really quickly, if I have to work in sections. Some foundations dry down so fast, so if you spread it all over your face and then go to blend it out, it has dried down in certain areas and it looks a little bit uneven. It does have a pretty strong scent. It almost has like a paint scent. I feel like I can't smell it once it's on my face, but I can definitely smell it like on my hand. So we'll see if I can smell it once it dries down. Now I do have redness, I have freckles, my skin is breaking out a little bit on my chin, so we'll really be able to see how this covers and applies. It does have a nice, thin, lightweight texture. It feels really, really good on the skin, and it is blending out really well. So far, it definitely looks to be more of like a medium coverage foundation, just like they claim. I will try to build it up because it also claims to be a buildable foundation, so we'll see if that's the case. It covers redness, but it doesn't cover freckles. If you have really acne-prone skin, it probably won't cover that as well. My chin did break out a little bit, so we'll see if it covers that. Okay, so that was one full pump of the foundation. I used it on this cheek, my chin, and my nose. So I need to use a little bit more on my forehead. I did pump another full pump on the back of my hand because I am going to go in and see how it layers as well. So that is what my skin looks like after one layer. I think it looks really pretty. It looks really natural. It definitely evened out my skin tone. It covered redness, but you can still see my skin through it. And that's kind of a look that I've been going for more and more during the summertime. Not something so intensely full coverage that's going to completely give you like a blank canvas. I like when you can see your skin because it just tends to look more natural in real life and wear better throughout the day. So I'm going to go in with a little bit more just to see if I can build it up because it does claim to be a buildable foundation. So it does seem to be layering pretty nicely. I wouldn't say that you can build it up to an intensely full coverage foundation, but I definitely have more coverage on this side of my face and it doesn't necessarily look heavy. Okay, so here's what the foundation looks like. I did go in with 2 full pumps. I layered it up mainly around my cheek area, my forehead. I kind of skipped the center of my face because I am going to go in with concealer, but I think it looks really pretty on the skin. It has a gorgeous soft matte finish. Like it's definitely a matte finish, but it doesn't look very dry. It doesn't look, you know, uncomfortable on the skin. I think if you had dry skin or combo skin, you might still be able to enjoy this one. I also think this shade matches me pretty perfectly right now. So I am going to go in with the concealer. I kind of like the shape of this concealer wand. It is a doe foot, but it's a little bit more rounded. So I'm not going to go in with an intense amount, just like that much. And then I also use it right around here and then also right around my nose because I do tend to get pretty red right there. I'm going to use a brush. This one is the Smashbox Cream Cheek Brush. Again, I always use a brush for concealer. I never really use a beauty sponge. So I'm just going to do what I normally do. I can already tell that I went in with too much. Unless you want like a super intensely concealed under eye, I would definitely recommend going in with half this amount. I'm so used to using my Too Faced concealer, so I just know how that applies. I'm just going to wipe off a good amount of that, and then let's blend this one out and see how this applies. Okay, less is definitely more with this one. It is definitely a thicker concealer, so I feel like you have to work a little bit to blend it out. I feel like that could be good in the way that it will probably stay in place pretty well throughout the day, but it does feel a little bit heavy on the skin upon initial application. So to set the concealer, I'm using the Decay Velvetizer, which I've talked about this in my videos. It's not technically a setting powder, but I find that it locks my concealers into place all day long. So I've been using it to set my under eye concealer for as long as I can remember. To set the rest of my face, I'm just going to go in with the Too Faced Peach Perfect Mattifying Loose Setting Powder. I've been using this for the majority of the summertime just because it is so hot outside. I like to give my foundation a fair shot. So this is the Smashbox Blurring Foundation Brush, and I'm just going to lightly set everything into place. This is a really lightweight powder. It does tend to mattify the skin, but I feel like because it is summer, I'm going to be out running errands. This is what I would typically do for foundation. So I just kind of like to follow my regular foundation routine when I'm testing a new one. So I did apply the rest of my makeup. I'll put a list of what I'm wearing in the description box below if you guys are curious. It's about 11:30. I want to wear the foundation for 12 hours and see how it wears. I will do a check-in in a few hours. I did not apply like a setting spray. I did apply a little bit of concealer on that freckle on my nose. That's what I typically do when I'm wearing a more medium to full coverage look, but I didn't touch the rest of my face other than like my bronzer, blush, highlight. So we'll see how it wears throughout the day. I have a lot of things to do. I have things to do around the house. I have to run errands. It's pretty hot out. It's like 85 degrees, so we'll see how it holds up, and I'll check in with you guys in a few hours. Okay, guys, I wanted to check in with you. It is currently 4:53, so it's been about 5.5 hours since I first applied the foundation, and this is how it looks. I think that it looks good, but I also think my skin looks pretty oily. I did expect that for a few reasons. First of all, I did not go in with a mattifying primer and I did not go in with a setting spray. Both of those definitely help keep my skin matte longer, but on top of that, this foundation did not dry completely, like intensely matte, so I had a feeling it would look a little bit more oily, but I think that it still looks good. I'm really impressed by how it looks on the skin. I was going back and forth so much on whether or not I should blot my skin halfway through this video, video. I don't watch a lot of foundation reviews, so I don't know if people do that or if they skip that and see how it looks at the end of the day. In all fairness, if I'm treating this as I would any other test, like even if I wasn't filming it, I would blot my skin halfway throughout the day just to give it a fair chance. I'm not going to touch up with like powder or foundation on top, but I am going to blot my skin because if I don't, it's going to be an oily mess within like another hour or two. So I have these oil blotting papers from e.l.f. I'm just going to take it and blot wherever I'm looking a little bit oily. Honestly, you don't need special papers for this. You could totally use like toilet paper, but I just have these on hand. Okay, so that's how my skin looks. We are getting ready to run some errands. It kind of looks like it's going to thunderstorm, so hopefully I don't get caught in the rain, but we have to go to Target, we have to go to the mall, the eye doctor, the grocery store, so we have a lot of things to do. I'll check in with you guys while we're out, but this is how it looks now, and I'll touch base in a few hours. Okay, guys, it's been about 7 hours. We finally made it out of the house. We had plans to get out this afternoon, but you know how it goes, one thing after another. So we are here at the mall. We're going to go look at glasses. Unfortunately, I don't have my prescription. I thought that I had it. I do not. Brady has his though, and this has been on our list for such a long time. So we're going to go do it anyways. And then maybe I can pick out some frames, but I think it looks pretty good in natural light. I'm honestly surprised by how much I like this. The only thing is that I feel like it looks slightly orangey, but not too bad. I could probably go down a shade and it would be fine. So I'll check in with you guys in a little while. Here's how my foundation looks after 12 hours. I think that it held up pretty well. Now, I think if you are looking for the most long-wearing foundation, this is not necessarily going to be it. I know they claim that it is a 24-hour wear foundation. I've only been wearing mine for 12, but a lot of it has worn off. It's pretty much worn off my chin and then right around this area of my face as well. I think that naturally I tend to like rest my chin on my hand or just like naturally touch my face throughout the day. I try not to, but I do, and it's kind of worn off in that area. What I like about this foundation is that it wears off naturally. It's kind of like when I wear concealer as foundation. I just did a video like that on my channel, so I'll link it below. That wears off really naturally. So you're not left with like uneven looking skin, and even though a lot of the foundation has faded, because it has more of a natural finish, it fades naturally throughout the day as well, which is what I like. Let me just blot it one last time. I would not normally do this like right before bed because I would just go and wash my face, but I'm just curious to see how it looks underneath this. I can't say that I usually wear my foundation for over 12 hours. There are rare occasions, like tomorrow we're going to be on for probably like 16 plus hours, so that might be an occasion, but usually if I am wearing it that long, I'll kind of touch it up throughout the day. So this is what it looks like after I blot my skin again. I don't think that it lives up to the 24-hour wear claim. I mean, after 12 hours, mine is looking pretty rough, so I definitely would not wear this for 24 hours. I do think that if I combined it with a mattifying primer and a setting spray, it would last a lot longer. I'm actually going to test that tomorrow because I am going to be out of town wearing my makeup for probably like 16 hours. Let me pull up the other claims. So buildable, medium coverage, definitely. I think the coverage was medium, but you could build it up to look a little bit more full coverage. A real skin matte finish. I loved the finish of this foundation. I think it looked so pretty on the skin, both on camera and in person. Oh, the other con for me is that it did oxidize a little bit. You can't really tell right now, but when I looked in the mirror after about 10 hours before it had really worn away right here, there was a pretty distinct difference between my face and my neck. It was probably a shade and a half darker than when I first applied it. So that is something to keep in mind. If you are picking it out in stores, I would recommend maybe swatching it and walking around for a while before deciding on a final shade. Tomorrow we're actually heading out of town. We're going down to Philadelphia for the day. So we are leaving at 10 a.m. I probably won't be home until like maybe 1 a.m. So I'll be wearing the foundation for more like 15 hours, but I am going to test it out with an oil controlling primer. I'll just include that footage in this video as well so we can get a real feel for how it wears over 2 days. I think the longer that I wear it, the more helpful this video will be. So I'll update you guys on that tomorrow. I won't do like an entire application process again. I'll just come back and give you a couple of updates throughout the day. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hey guys, okay, so it is day 2 of wearing the Urban Decay Stay Naked Foundation. I wanted to do another wear test today and see how it holds up because I'm wearing the e.l.f. Oil Control Priming Mist. I completely forgot to wear setting spray, but I think the e.l.f. priming mist will make a difference on its own because it typically does. So I'll keep you guys posted and let you know how it wears today. Okay, guys, it's been about 8 hours since I applied my makeup this morning. It has held up really well. The difference between yesterday and today is that I've been outside for the past few hours. We've been walking around. We had lunch. It's so hot. We're in Philly today, so it's like 88, 90 degrees. So we're in the sun, and I think that even though it looks oily, it's held up pretty well on my skin. So I'm happy with it. I'm going to blot and then maybe like touch up with a little bit of powder because we'll still be out for another like 7 or 8 hours before we get home. So I want to give it the best chance possible, but I'll check in with you guys and let you know how it holds up tonight. Okay, guys, I am home. It is currently 1:17 a.m. So I've had my makeup on for about 16 hours. I thought I would just kind of update you guys vlog style. I hope you don't mind, but I wanted to come back and give you guys my final thoughts. So this is what my makeup looks like after 16 hours. It actually held up really well today. It's completely worn off of my chin, and my chin is breaking out so badly for some reason. So I don't know what's going on with that, but it did completely wear off. So I think it looks more noticeable than it did this morning. The rest of my face looks pretty good though. I'm definitely oily in my nose area, but honestly, for 16 hours, I'm pretty impressed by this. After like the 7 or 8 hour mark, I did blot my skin, add a little extra powder, but that's it. So my final thoughts. I think that I might have a few other foundations in my collection that I would consider more long wearing and that would stay in place a little bit better if I was to wear my makeup for 16 hours. That being said, the difference between those foundations and this one is that this foundation is super lightweight and really comfortable. So depending on, what I'm doing that day, how I'm feeling, I might reach for this one and sacrifice a little bit more of like that mattifying aspect for a more comfortable foundation. I do think this foundation has a tendency to oxidize. I felt like I looked pretty orange today, even though I mixed the lighter shade in. So that is something to consider as well. There is a strong scent. You cannot notice it once it dries on the skin. As for the concealer, I'm really impressed by the concealer. I actually like the concealer more than I thought that I would. It's definitely like a high pigment, full coverage concealer that stays matte throughout the day. So it held up really well on my skin. I don't think it's actually creasing that badly, and I think it's because I prepped my skin a little bit better today. The only con for the concealer for me is that it is pretty matte and hard to blend out, but if you have the time and you don't mind taking the time to do so, it is worth it. It does feel a little bit dry on the skin, but if you want something that will stay in place all day, that is the concealer for you. So I'll kind of put a summary of my thoughts in the description box below, but thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this and kind of enjoyed this format. If you did, let me know and I can film them more often, but I need to go to bed. It's 1:24, it's late, I have to wake up early, so I'll get this video edited for you guys tomorrow and up, but I'll see you soon with a new one. Bye.